I'm ready.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so time for laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Hey, how we doing tonight, everybody? It's J-Mac here with you, and tonight I'm joined by the one, the only, that's right, he's here again, Ace.
What's going on?
And bear with us tonight. We got producer filling in tonight, not a normal producer, so we're gonna go with the flow here, make sure everything goes right. But they're gonna do a great job for us, so we'll give them a shout out there at the end of the show. A couple new things going on tonight. First thing we want to do is we want to let you know that the first person the show is sponsored by is Anchor. Now, if you can't catch us live as far as watching us, we download all of our episodes to Anchor so you can listen to us while you're in your car, while you're in your while you're driving bus, whatever it is you feel you want to do. And so make sure you listen to us on Anchor. And then we got a special one for you tonight. I don't have anything uploaded for them yet. I have all their information, though, and I'll tell you what. It is not our T-shirts yet, but thank you for that. Black Market Toffee is our second sponsor tonight. It is ran by a lady named Jamie Kanagi. Everything is handcrafted in small batches using the finest ingredients available. They never use fillers or corn syrup. It's a perfectly delicate crunch that will stick to your teeth. So good, you'll have to hide it. And trust me, I've had this. I'm not kidding. They're not kidding with that. You're going to have to hide it. You're going to have to hide it from your significant other because they're going to take it from you, and they're going to eat it. Just to give you a little bit on the pricing, Black Market Toffee offers half-pound boxes for $15. Think about that. Handmade, no fillers, all organic toffee for a half-pound for $15. They got 4 different colors. It's just a great place. So make sure you show them some support in that. And without further ado, then one other thing we give away here, we give away T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And how would you like to win a T-shirt? So, Ace, how do we get that T-shirt?
Well, to win a T-shirt, it's pretty easy. So as everybody saw last month, everybody probably saw that Brandon Herrera, every single show, he commented, shared, and liked our page. That's literally all you have to do. You just have to come on our show. You have to comment. You have to share and like our page. That is it. And then once you comment, you enter yourself and a chance to win the shirt. And if you comment again, then you make your chances better. Every comment you make, you get a better chance at winning a shirt. So just comment. And then at the end of every month, we tally up the person who has the most comments. And guess what? They're our viewer of the month. So if you want one of those, all you got to do is comment, and then you'll get your ASAP shirt ASAP.
All right. And so if you don't quite make it, if you don't quite make that viewer of the month, is there another way to get one of those shirts, Ace?
Yeah, so absolutely. So let's say that you're watching our show and you're like, you know what? I don't want to comment because I don't know what to say. You're nervous. You don't want to look bad. You know what? comments are just that. It's completely okay. But if you don't want to and you're like, you know what, Christmas is coming up, I need it, all you got to do is pay $25 plus shipping and handling, and you can get one of those awesome ASAP shirts. And remember, Christmas is coming up, so you're going to want to get one of those and give them out to all your family, your friends, and everything, because you will look awesome in those shirts.
Absolutely. And I will give you this little bit of information. Stay tuned this next week because we have some great things coming up. We may even have a sale on those shirts. It's possible. Black Friday coming. We'll see. Maybe some more merchandise to follow. How's that sound, Ace?
Absolutely. And I want to give a shout out because Brandon Herrera is saying hello. So Brandon Herrera, what's up? Mess around Dave, I'm saying what's up, my dude, as you're saying to us. What is up?
And then we got Kendall Lum. I don't want to say your last name wrong. I apologize for that if I did, Kendall. But thanks for watching the show and giving us that comment. Guess what you just did? Got yourself in the running for that shirt. So,
and actually, Kendall has commented a lot, so he's got a lot of comments in the bucket this month.
Absolutely. All right. So, shall we get going here? Let's get going. So, as you know, we always start with college football. Now, there was some more postponed games, some games that were canceled. But we always start at number one. So number one, of course, was Alabama. Mm-hmm. Now they played Kentucky. Did you expect anything good out of this game?
No, actually, I did not, because now when you look at this game, Alabama versus Kentucky, Kentucky actually had their best running back out because of COVID, also because of contact tracing. Now, there's a few other individuals on Kentucky that was also out due to contact tracing. But even if they would have been in, it really wouldn't have mattered much. I really was not expecting this to be a good game no matter what. So the one person that I really want to point out in this one, that's right. Guess what we're going to right now? We're going to
Ace's Game Ball.
We are going to my game ball. And so in this one, thank you, Ace's Game Ball. So in this one, how can you not give the game ball to Devontae Smith? Devontae Smith of Alabama. Let me tell you what, this guy right now is on pace for a record receiving year. This dude has been tearing it up all season long. In this game, he had another 9 catches for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's on a ridiculous pace right now. This whole Alabama team is on a tear. I'll tell you what, at the beginning of the season, I did not have Alabama as the number 1 team in the nation. After what I've seen the last several weeks, I have to say right now, they're that clear number 1 in the nation.
Yep. I tend to agree with that. I don't think that there's any question about it now. Like, I think maybe there could have been at some point, but I don't think now that there's any question they're number 1 in the nation. So we'll move on. Number 2 in the nation was Notre Dame, and they actually were idle this week in that 2 spot. And so we don't know. I mean, they should stay at number 2 because I don't think anyone behind them played super awesome. And, of course, they can't lose. So, Will Polston, I think we'll get to that question in just a minute. So hang out with us for a second, and we'll get right there because we're coming up to those games, and we'll definitely answer that question for you. We see it. We see you, Will. Number 3, Ohio State versus number 9, Indiana. Now I'm going to take you back for a minute, Ace. And you remember I said this game last week was going to be the game of the week because it was Indiana's chance to prove that they were for real, is to come in and play Ohio State. And I'll tell you what, they might have lost this game, but they played Ohio State tough today. Like, they really showed that they can hang in there with the big boys. I don't know what you think, but I mean, losing by a touchdown to the number 3 team in the country, when you're a team that everyone said you don't deserve to be in the top 10, what do you think about that?
So I will tell you, I actually watched this game. This was actually – at the beginning of the game, this was actually a really, really good game. Indiana at the beginning of this game actually had multiple opportunities. Now, keep in mind, Justin Fields in this game threw 3 picks in this game. That's not a typical Justin Fields game. Justin Fields is typically a quarterback who does not turn the football over. Penix Jr., the quarterback for Indiana, at the beginning of the game, he did struggle. In the first half, he struggled. It was the first quarter, he was 5 of 13. However, they did leave multiple opportunities on that field to score points. They intercepted Justin Fields in the first quarter. The one thing, though, that I will say is that when Ohio State stopped Indiana on their first drive, then got the ball, and then Ohio State scored in 2 plays. Once they scored in 2 plays, I'm like, uh-oh. I literally thought at that point, I'm like, is Indiana going to be able to stop these guys at all? And then Indiana did what they've done the last several weeks prior to that. Their defense stepped up. They were shutting down Ohio State. And then towards that end of the first half again, Indiana's defense kind of started to struggle. And Ohio State was able to go up 20. It was 21-7 at that point. And I'm like, okay, now Ohio State's starting to run away with this game a little bit. But I give Indiana credit because they fought back. At one point, if you remember, they were down 42-21 at one point. And Indiana was able to come back and make it 42-35 and get the ball back with under 2 minutes left and still have a chance to go down and score, yet they couldn't even get the ball past midfield. But I give a lot of credit to Penix Jr. in this game because that dude flat out balled. But since Ace's game ball goes to the winning team, my game ball actually in this one goes to Garrett Wilson, the receiver for Ohio State, because he had 7 catches, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
All right. Thanks for that. Number 4 in the country was Clemson, and their game with Florida State was postponed due to COVID. So not really much to talk about there. They'll probably stay at number 4. I don't foresee them moving down with the fact that they were postponed. And number 5, Texas A&M, is the same story against Ole Miss. They didn't get a chance to play. Number 6 in the country was Florida, and they played Vanderbilt, and they won a game that they should win. And they won it pretty handily. It was 38-27 in the final. I don't think any surprises there. And so 38-17, not 38-27. I don't know where that came from, but 38-17. They won by 21 points. Any surprises there, Ace?
Well, the only surprise really was that the first half was actually kind of a good game. Vandy was able to keep it close in the first half, but in the second half, Florida was able to pull away. And I said this last week also. I said right now, besides Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, my favorite for Heisman Trophy is Kyle Trask. I don't know how you could not put him in the Heisman race. The way he's been balling this whole entire year has been absolutely incredible. When it comes to Florida, you're saying that they won 38-17. However, the one thing I will say is when you're playing a winless Vandy team, I did expect Florida to come out and actually beat them by a lot more because this was not a typical Kyle Trask game. He did throw three touchdowns, had 383 yards. I'm sorry. But that's not a typical Kyle Trask game. If you remember, multiple weeks in a row, it was like 5 straight weeks, he threw 4 more touchdowns. I was expecting that again against this Vandy team, but it didn't happen. Now, I'm just going to touch on Kyle Trask for just a second. To me, for Kyle Trask, in order to have a good chance at winning the Heisman, his test is going to be coming up. He's going to pretty much have to play really good. I'm going to say especially against Alabama. He's going to have to play really good against Alabama. If he can come out and beat Alabama, then Heisman's going to be his.
All right, and your game ball for this one?
My game ball in this one, obviously, Kyle Trask. 26-35, 383 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think I've been giving it to him every week because how can he not? The dude's been balling.
Absolutely. Completely agree with that one. Now we move to number 7 in the country, which is one of the games that Will Polston asked about. And let's make sure that we answer that. So he loved the Cincinnati and UCF game today. and that's one of the two that we'll get to here soon, and we'll compare them for the entertainment value. But Cincinnati beat UCF 36-33. Now, here's the real funny thing about that game is, you remember the last team that wasn't in a Power 5 conference that really made us stand out and made an undefeated season was what team? And that was UCF when they made their run. This year, it happens to be Cincinnati. So it's just fitting that these two teams are the teams that faced each other today. And it was a good game. It was 36-33. Cincinnati pulled it out by 3 points. Was it a better game than you expected, or right about where you expected it to be?
So, in a way, because I know when these two teams play each other, they play tough. So this was kind of a game that I was expecting. However, there's one thing that I will point out in this game, because for weeks we have been saying that that even though the Cincinnati team is undefeated, and we've said that, they really haven't played anybody, so how do they deserve to be, in the top 4 or whatever? But when I was watching the Badger game, the commentators actually made a great point, and they said nothing against Florida or and it doesn't ring a bell. Who's number 5? Number 5
right now. Number 5 was, we just talked about it. I can't remember either. Number 5 was Texas A&M.
Yeah, and they were they were idle. So with that being said, though, so they said no offense to Florida or Texas A&M, but how can Cincinnati or even the team behind them in BYU being undefeated not be at 5 and 6? And you know what? That is a very valid point, because it's not Cincinnati's fault about the teams that they're playing. It's really not. Now, this was a very, very good game. Cincinnati did what they had to do. They came out, they won, they remained undefeated. My game ball in this one, actually, thank you, Ace's game ball. My game ball in this one goes to Desmond Ritter, which was 21 of 32, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns. But keep in mind, too, he also had 14 carries for 57 yards and 2 touchdowns. So 4 total touchdowns in this game. So he's been playing good. The defense for Cincinnati this whole year has been playing good. It's time to start putting some respect on the Bearcats' names.
I completely agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Because you're right. It's you can't help a schedule. Like, that's not your fault. So we've talked about it in the NFL. You talked about it in college as well. Number 8. And speaking of that other undefeated team, they're at number 8, which is BYU. Now, we talked about how Florida came out and didn't really act like the number 6 team against a team that they should have, right? We were just talking about that. And number 8 is BYU. And they came out and they acted like the undefeated team playing a not good team. They destroyed North Alabama 66-14. And that's what you're supposed to do against teams like that. And no doubt on that. So what's your thoughts on this game?
Now, like you're saying, I do understand that, people be like, North Alabama, who's that? It doesn't matter. When they come out to play North Alabama and people go, BYU is undefeated, so BYU needs to come out and they need to destroy this North Alabama team. Guess what? They did that. BYU showed why they are an undefeated team. They came out, they played really, really well. And so how can you not look at that and be like, you know what? I understand that Florida won. They took care of business. I get it. But it wasn't one of those typical games where Florida came out and really showed who they truly were, when BYU came out and absolutely annihilated North Alabama. So obviously I'm like, start showing some respect on BYU also. So my game ball in this one actually goes to Zach Wilson also, which is 10 of 16. 212 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did only have 1 carry for 33 yards, but other than that,
I just want to clarify, Ace. Did you say he had 10 completions in the game and 4 of them were for touchdowns?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
See, that's crazy.
16 with 4 touchdowns. Because the thing is, he didn't have to do a lot. He didn't have to.
Right.
And then when he was called upon to do his job, he did his job. And so, can we go back to Will's comment here for a second, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to read that. So Ritter on any other team would get Heisman considerations. And you know what? I will be completely honest and say, yes, he would. He's playing really, really well this season. If he was on a better team, his consideration for Heisman would truly be up there. He would get a lot more consideration. Let's say he played for a team like Alabama or Clemson, possibly Florida, Ohio State, or somebody like that. Yeah, his consideration would be way, way higher. But because of where he plays, it's not. All right.
Agreed with that. If we move on, thanks for that, Ace. Thanks for your intake on that. We go to number 9, which was Indiana, and they lost to Ohio State 42-35. And we're going to touch on that game because we already did. My only question real quick for you, Ace, and like 20-second answer would be, how far does Indiana fall because they lost to number 3?
They can't fall far. And the reason why they can't fall far is because they came in and played a number 3 Ohio State team, took them down to the last minute when they had a chance to actually go down the field and score. They were not able to. So, and Ohio State was a number 3 team. So obviously they can't fall far because they showed they can hang with Ohio State.
Okay. Thanks. And I agree with that, actually. I don't think they can fall far either. Now, number 10.
Oh, boy.
Wisconsin. They were playing a Northwestern team that I'll tell you was ranked 19th in the country. And you would think that them being ranked 19th in the country, it's Northwestern. Do they really deserve to be there? Well, I think today they proved that they deserve to be in the top 25. Wisconsin lost a tough game, 17-7. Thoughts, Ace, on this game?
Look, man, this is the one thing I want to say. You know, everybody knows I'm this diehard Badger fan. I've been a diehard Badger fan my whole life. It's never changed. The fact of the matter is this. We were ranked at number 10 in the nation. I'm looking at just like the same thing that happens to me every year. I look at this Badger team, I get my hopes up, and I'm like, all right, you know, we're looking good. I get my hopes up. I'm looking at Mertz going, hey, we have a great quarterback. His first 2 games, he played spectacular, looked really, really good. And I'm like, all right, cool, we have something. I start getting my hopes up, and then what happens? I get disappointed again. And this is exactly what happened today. I'm not gonna sit here and blame it that a bunch of our weapons were out, because they were, you know, a lot of our receivers were out, but our defense was healthy. They did their job, but still, I don't care that a bunch of our receivers were out. I'm not going to make any excuses on that whatsoever. Northwestern came in. They completely balled out. Their defense took over this game. We couldn't do anything in this game. We scored.
How do you come out and drop 7? Yeah.
Thank you, Will. Yes, and that's my point. That's why I understand that a lot of our receivers were out. Pretty much every single one of our starters on the receiving core were out, but that doesn't matter. You still have to find a way to score points, and we only came out and scored 7. This Northwestern team had 5 turnovers in this game. They caused Mertz to throw 3 interceptions, fumble twice, and then they were able to sack him 3 times. So this Northwestern team came out and balled out. So obviously, Ace's game ball goes to none other than the Northwestern defense. Thank you very much. Northwestern defense gets the game ball.
Which is what Will just commented on, and we'll give him the shout out for that too. He's not wrong. I mean, teams drop 60 regularly, and you give up 7 points in a college football game. Shout out to you. Like, you deserve every bit of credit for that game.
Mm-hmm. But
the defense. The
one thing I will say though is that, you know, you can give blame on Wisconsin for how bad they played, and you can say how bad they played. And say you have to play better. But on the other end of it, you have to give Northwestern credit and say they were coming out. They came out with a game plan. They executed their game plan, and they won. They were obviously the better team. So I give them all the credit in the world for how well they came out and played.
100%. Yep. All right, and then that team at number 11. And then, by the way, Vic can't be with us tonight. She's not feeling well. We wish you a speedy recovery, Vic. We hope that you can be back with us on Wednesday. The show's not the same without you. So Well, and one comment I got on my personal page, I just want to shout out, and I'm totally sorry. I forgot to tell you how to get that toffee. They have a Facebook page. It's Facebook.com/Black Market Toffee. So I apologize for all the listeners out there for that. But number 11 was Oregon. They played UCLA. And man, what a game. What a game. So tell me, which game did you like better, Cincy and UCF or UCLA and Oregon? Because Oregon came out 38-35 on top in the end. And they are, because of circumstances with 9 and 10 dropping, they'll probably end up in the top 10 next week. So, but man, what a game.
So the Cincy and UCF game was excellent. The Oregon versus UCLA game was excellent. This one to me is really, really hard to decide which game was better because both these games really, really stuck out. I honestly thought that Oregon was going to beat UCLA by a lot more. Because I did not think that UCLA was going to be that good. Keep in mind, their starting quarterback was out. He was out. So UCLA was able to do this with a backup quarterback. This game was a lot closer than what it should have been. Oregon really got it going towards the end of the first half when and this is the worst part because UCLA was winning. They should have been winning going into half if he wouldn't have thrown that up for grabs. I understand he got hit. I understand that. But you got to be smarter than that, and you have to get rid of the ball. He sat there, held on to it, takes the hit. It's a dead duck. They pick it off and run it back for a touchdown as time expires. Ducks go into halftime winning. So did that shift the momentum? Yes, I think it did. But this was also an excellent game. Hats off to UCLA. Hats off to Oregon. My game ball in this one, thank you, goes to Tyler Shao. He went 19 of 30, 334 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also had 11 carries for 31 yards. So hats off. Does Oregon move up? Yeah, they're gonna move up after this game because Wisconsin lost. So obviously they're gonna move up.
Yep. And so did Indiana at 9. So I think they'll move up.
Yeah, but
I don't know that they'll drop below them. I'm not saying that they will. I'm just saying that that's another.
Well, they probably will because Oregon is undefeated and they haven't lost yet, and that was the first loss to Indiana. So they'll probably leapfrog them.
That's true. Number 12, Miami was playing Georgia Tech, but that game got postponed due to COVID. Number 13, Georgia against Mississippi State. I'm still eating the humble pie on this one for sure because 13 Georgia, they did beat Mississippi State, but they beat them by a touchdown. And you beat them by way more than that, 31-24. So I guess just go ahead and give us a little analysis in your game ball and we'll move on.
So as I was doing my game ball in this one, obviously it was in the fourth quarter when I was doing my game ball. The game wasn't quite over. So my game ball in this one still actually went to J.D. Daniels. He was at that point he was 27 of 35, 370 yards and 4 touchdowns. So and yes, J-Mac, I will say this one you are eating a little bit of humble pie because at the beginning of the season when college football first started, you said that Georgia was going to have one of the best defenses in college football. Georgia has struggled so far on the defensive side of the ball. And you're going to eat some humble pie on that one. You are. But Georgia was able to win this game, so that's going to help them. But they were not impressive.
Okay, you're right. And I will take that. Number 14 was Oklahoma State. Right now, they are getting absolutely blasted by Oklahoma, who's number 18 in the country. Oklahoma is winning this one 41-13 with 5:47 left in the fourth quarter. They're probably not going to be 14 next week because they're not coming back in the last 5 minutes, not 28 points down. So Oklahoma State's going to end up losing that game. Number 15 in the country was Marshall. We are Marshall. The Thundering Herd. That game was postponed. They were playing Charlotte. They probably would have done a pretty good job handling that team. I don't see.
just for a sec on that, I was actually looking forward. I was really hoping that Marshall would play because that's like one team that, even though they're not my favorite team, I still have a rooting interest for them just based off of what happened in their college history.
Yeah. And then number 16 was Coastal Carolina. I believe their game was postponed as well. Or did
They played. They played Appalachian State. That game was played because I actually watched that game.
Right. I just saw it. You're right. That is my bad. They did. They beat them 34-23 against Appalachian State. So give us a little analysis in your game ball here.
So this was actually a good game pretty much throughout. This game was actually back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now this is also the one guy that I gave the game ball to in this one was actually Grayson McCall. Now the one thing I want to bring up about Grayson McCall, it's like Will had said last time with Desmond Riddler, when they said that because of where he plays, he doesn't get that Heisman vote. Now if you look at Grayson McCall's numbers, this year, the quarterback for Coastal Carolina has thrown 22 touchdowns against 2 interceptions. If you ask me, that's a fantastic year.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, is it Heisman worthy? No, but you got to talk about him a little bit more, but nobody does because he plays for Coastal Carolina. So Grayson McCall actually got my game ball. He was 12 of 21, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns again. Like I said, this game was back and forth. I actually thought that Appalachian State was going to pull it off, but Coastal Carolina was able to remain undefeated and pulled it off again. And when I say Appalachian State, it's funny because it always brings back to that year that they beat Michigan. I will never, ever forget that.
Nope. So that's that one. Number 17 in the country.
Holy cow.
Is my dark horse team, by the way, Iowa State. And I said earlier in the season that this team, if they could put a run together, if they could win some games, they'd be looking to move up in the rankings. And man, did they ever lay it on Kansas State today. And I get Kansas State isn't very good, but again, we've talked about it several times here just tonight. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and you beat them bad, and that's how you're supposed to do it. Iowa State beat Kansas State 45-0.
Mm-hmm.
So give us your game ball and some analysis there.
All right, so my game ball in this one for Iowa State was actually Brock Purdy. Yeah. I'm sorry. Iowa State was actually Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy went 16 of 20, 236 yards, and 3 touchdowns, but also ran the ball 7 times for 59 yards. And I will give you credit because this was one team at the beginning of the season that you said could potentially be a dark horse and show up and actually play good football. And when they lost their first game, then I was like, well, J-Mac, then I was kind of giving you a little bit of a hard time about it. But now that they've shown that they can actually ball. So this team might be able at this point, I think that they will at some point end up in the top 15. I don't think they will this week, but they could at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. And number 18 then in the country, as we know, was Oklahoma. And they are laying the wood on Oklahoma State right now. Like we said, it's still 41-13 now, 3:51 to go in that game. Oklahoma State is driving at the moment. They're at the Oklahoma 16, so see what happens. But again, they're not going to come back in that game. So number 18 will win. Number 19 in the country was Northwestern, and they beat Wisconsin 17-7. You've already said who your game ball was there. They'll probably move up a couple spots. USC's early in their game against Utah. They're 20th in the country. That's 3-3 with 4:01 left in the first quarter. 21 in the country is Liberty, and they actually just went final while we were sitting here talking a couple of games ago. They lost to NC State 15-14. So I'll get your game ball from you, but I'll also ask you, does that put Liberty out of the top 25?
Yes, and Disappointingly, it does, because we talked about going into last week when they won again. That was the first time in the history of Liberty that they ever went that far into a season being undefeated.
Yeah.
And so this week I was going in being like, hey, they could beat NC State. For the longest time, they were beating them 14-9 for a very, very long time. Now, Will is wondering, does that move NC State into the top 20? No, UNC. I'm sorry. Does that move UNC into the top 25? You know what? It does, because Liberty is not going to stay in the top 25, because now this shows like, well, all right, so they beat some teams that they should have beat, but then they lost to NC State tonight, which is going to be very, very disappointing. So my game ball actually for this one actually goes to the NC State defense. They showed up. They did their job. They beat an undefeated Liberty team, which actually disappointed me. I was hoping that Liberty could actually pull out this game.
Yeah. So let me ask you then. 22 in the country was Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Their game got postponed, and they may not make that one up. I don't know how they're going to have time to make these games up. They didn't really leave a lot of place in their schedules for rescheduling games. So Texas got postponed, but they were playing Kansas, so I'm pretty sure they were going to win that game anyway. I don't think it was going to matter much.
Kansas, right?
Yeah. Auburn was 23rd. Now, they got back into the top 25 after a tough start this year, but they were 23rd. They played Tennessee. They beat them 30-17. So give us your game ball, and if you think they move up a couple spots this week.
Well, obviously, again, in this one, I got to give the game ball to Auburn's defense. Their defense came out and played well. Does Auburn move up? Yes, obviously they're going to move up, and that's only because, like I said, Liberty lost, and there was a few ranked teams this week that actually lost. A few ranked teams that were actually shocking that loss. So, yes, Auburn's going to move up. They're starting to play Auburn football the way that we know it, because everybody thought that this Auburn's defense was going to be really, really good at the beginning of the season. They struggled, but their defense is now looking to be a lot better, and they're starting to come into form now.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Ace. We always appreciate that. 24th in the country is the team I get sick of talking about every week, and I know you know how I feel about this.
Mm-hmm.
University of Louisiana Lafayette. They were supposed to play Central Arkansas. That game got canceled. But here I am to say it again. They're going to stay in the top 25 because teams above them lost and their game got canceled. So we will at least have to do one more week with Lafayette into the top 25.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Now we're talking about how we're looking at these teams who haven't played anybody, and we're saying, you know, that's not their fault, that they deserve to be up there, and we're saying that. But how can you look at Lafayette and be like, well, you know, I'm tired of them being the top 25? That doesn't make any sense, because they're beating the teams that they need to beat.
Yeah. Moving on. 25th in the country was Tulsa. They beat Tulane. They beat Tulane 30-24, and it took 2 overtimes for them to do that. So do they stay in the top 25, or do they drop out even though they won? And your game ball.
They'll stay in. They'll stay in just because they won. It'll be close. Does ULL stay at 24 or move up because of losses? No, they will stay there. They're not going to move up because I can tell you, it doesn't matter that there was losses in front of them. It's kind of like J-Mac said. They're like one of those teams that are kind of hanging out in there because there were some teams, as you know, there are some teams who've only played 2 games. Some teams that have played 3, and then there's some that have played 6 or 7. So this year, it's hard to say really who's top 25, who's top 15, who's top 10. That's why this year it's so difficult. But ULL should not move up because I just don't feel like they're that good of a team. So right there, that's the place they need to stay. Do you think a Pac-12 could make the college football playoffs? And to go on that answer, yes, the Pac-12 could, but they're going to need help. They are going to need some help if they want to make. pretty much what's going to happen is Oregon is going to have to win out. Everybody knows that. The Ducks are going to have to win every single game because for a Pac-12 team to make it, pretty much their best chance is going to be the Ducks at this point. And everybody knows that that's going to be their best shot. So Oregon's going to have to win out, and then they're going to need a bunch of teams to lose in front of them. You're going to have another Florida loss, probably a Cincinnati loss, a BYU. You might even need Ohio State to lose a game. They're going to need a lot of help, but it is possible.
Absolutely. Well,
I forgot. So my game ball, I forgot. I'm sorry. My game ball on the Tulsa game. So my game ball on that one was actually Juan Carlos Stanton. He had 8 catches, 138 yards, and a touchdown.
All right. We're going to transition over to the NFL, and before we do that, I think that we need to shout out our longest standing I'm tripping over my words here. I'm sorry. I don't usually do this.
Longest standing sponsor.
Our longest standing sponsor. Almost there from day one. It's Suzanne's Bling. Paparazzi accessories, $5 jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. That phone number is 541-294-5218. It is paparazzi.com. 920-160 is the code. And it's some good stuff. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Ace, but it's some good jewelry, some good stuff. Christmas is coming up. Get it while you can, and make sure that you get in there and you help her out. She's our longest standing sponsor and definitely helps us out here, and we appreciate everything she does. So let's transition over to the NFL. Let's get some picks, break down some games, maybe. Some good games tomorrow. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it tomorrow.
Yeah. So we're into week 11 already. We're going for some playoff spots, jockeying for position, seeing where everyone can end up. You got the Titans and the Ravens in one of the 10 o'clock games. And, man, I'll tell you, it was tough for me to pick a winner in this one because the Titans have played really good at one point this year. The Ravens played really good at one year. Then the Titans kind of fell off, and now the Ravens have kind of fallen off, and the Titans are playing good again.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think with the Titans playing good and the way they're going, that's probably going to be my pick in this game is going to be the Titans. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be something like 23-20. I don't see it being a huge blowout.
So this game for me at first was kind of tough. If you remember, Titans defense last year was a lot better than what it is this year. I'm actually shocked with how bad the Titans defense was this year, especially even after they went out and got a Jadeveon Clowney. Even though they went out and got a Jadeveon Clowney, he hasn't really done anything. When you look at this Tennessee defense, they're allowing 26 points per game. That's on the defensive side. That's not even close to last year. Now, when you look at the offensive side of Tennessee, they're actually scoring 27 points a game. So it's got to give it to the Ravens. The Titans defense has made it. And that was the point I was making, was this is not the same Titans defense as it was last year. They're allowing 26 points a game. That's a lot of points. That's relying on your offense a whole lot. And Ryan Tannehill, yeah, when he took over in Tennessee, he's looked better. I just think he fits the system better. But it's not really only the system. It's also because he's got that bad man in the backfield of Derrick Henry, which people like to stack the boxes to try and stack him or to try and stop him, which then opens up the passing game for Ryan Tannehill. And then, and then when you look at Baltimore in this game, Baltimore is actually scoring 27 points a game. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they're actually allowing only 18 points per game. So they're not allowing very many points per game at all. That's actually ranked number 1 right now at 18 points per game. So I'm looking at this going, I truly believe that Tennessee is going to struggle in this game. So I have to go. So I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one. I believe that Jamarcus Russell has a bounce back. Not Jamarcus Russell. I'm sorry. Lamar Jackson. Why did I say Jamarcus Russell? That's horrible pick.
I was going to ask, but I'm like, wow, I don't.
No. So Lamar Jackson, because Jamarcus Russell's terrible. I apologize. So, yes, Lamar Jackson's going to have a bounce back game, and Baltimore's going to win this game. It's going to be close. It'll probably be like a 3-point game.
Yeah. So the next game on the slate is the Lions against the Panthers. There's actually no Vegas line in this game. There is no favorite, which I haven't seen that in an NFL game in probably first one this year. So who you got? You got the Lions, you got the Panthers.
Well, now this is another game that's actually really, really close when you look at it, especially on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Because on the offensive side of the ball, Detroit is actually averaging 25 points per game, as Carolina is averaging 23 points per game. And then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, it's just Carolina right now is just like, yes, Will, you can laugh at me. I'm sorry. We did a segment to where we talked about pretty much the top 5 worst quarterbacks ever. And one was Marcus Russell, and the other one was Ryan Leaf. So that's probably why I said it, and I apologize. I meant to say Lamar Jackson. All right. So, but with that point, I'm being said that, and then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, Detroit is actually allowing 29 points per game, as opposed to Carolina, who's allowing 27. But too, you have to look at Detroit has DeAndre Swift out. So that's going to hurt them because he's that all-around back. He runs, catches, everything. And then on Carolina's side, Christian McCaffrey's out. So Mike Davis will be taking his spot. And the Lions side, you'll probably have an Adrian Peterson and a Karan Johnson. Those are the 2 guys that'll be swapping carries there. So this one, for me, is hard, but I have to give the edge to the Lions in this one.
Okay, and I think I'm going to take the Panthers just for sake of argument, but I think it could go either way. Thanks, Will, for that. If Stafford plays Lions, if not, Panthers. Okay.
Stafford he's been cleared to play.
Yeah, which I thought I had heard. So then we got the Eagles and the Browns. Now, I can't lie. I can't lie to you, Ace. Mm-hmm. Every piece of me wants to say it's finally the Browns' year. They're finally going to make the playoffs. They're finally going to make a run.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you said, it's kind of like the Badgers. They do this where they'll be having a good season, and then the wheels fall off and they end up imploding. So, man, I don't know. I think I'll take the Browns in this game, but I just don't know if I trust them yet.
So when I look at both sides of the football between the Eagles and the Browns, Cleveland is going to be without Myles Garrett. We know that. He's on the COVID list. Myles Garrett's out, which the Eagles actually they're actually a top 10 rushing team. So Miles Sanders is a really good running back, completely underrated running back. The other thing is Philadelphia is actually top 3 in sacks also. But Cleveland, now look at Cleveland too. Cleveland, once OBJ went down, and pretty much when he was kind of there also, Cleveland relied a lot on their running game. Especially since Nick Chubb's back now, they have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So now with those 2, they're averaging 159 rushing yards per game. And with Nick Chubb being back, that's crazy. So with this one, if Cleveland is able to run the ball against that stout Eagles team that's able to stop the run, because their run defense is really good, if Cleveland is able to run the ball, Cleveland wins the game. If they can't, then Philadelphia wins. But slight advantage, I have to give to Cleveland.
And I'll take the Browns too, like I said, but I don't know if I trust them yet. We'll see. Next game is the Patriots and the Texans. I think both of these seasons are over if I'm looking at it from an unbiased position. I think the Texans are due. I don't have any other, brilliant analysis other than that. I think the Texans are due, and I think that they win this game, but I think it's a close game. And so I'll take the Texans in this one.
This one to me was actually kind of tough too. Now, the Patriots just activated Sony Michel, so they get Sony Michel back. But they've still been a running team, regardless if they had Sony Michel or not, because when you look at Cam Newton's numbers, Cam Newton this year has thrown like 3 touchdowns. That's not a typical, I would not say a typical Cam Newton season, but he hasn't impressed me at quarterback. Houston just hasn't impressed me much at all, and they haven't even impressed me since Bill O'Brien was fired. It hasn't even seemed to make a difference. So this game to me was really, really tough, but only based upon coaching, and I know how brilliant Bill Belichick is, and he actually has the Patriots on a 2-game winning streak. That's the only reason I'm taking New England in this game, is because of Bill Belichick. I think he'll figure out a way to beat Houston Texans and get the Patriots back to 500.
Fair enough. Next is the undefeated Steelers against the 1-win Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'm going to say one thing. Last week, we made some bold predictions in the Jacksonville and Green Bay game, and none of those came true, other than the fact that they won. So do you see that happening again this week where maybe Jacksonville surprises some people? Not that they're going to beat the Steelers, but maybe they play a pretty good game and make a game out of it like they did last week? Or do you see the Steelers just coming in and blasting them?
Well, now keep in mind, it wasn't only last week when we talked about the Green Bay versus Jacksonville game. If you remember a few weeks ago, we were talking about Pittsburgh versus Dallas too, and we said that Dallas didn't have a chance. And Dallas came in and played really, really well against Pittsburgh also. Dallas almost actually had that game won against Pitt. So I'm not going to say that Pittsburgh's going to come in and steamroll Jacksonville, because you just never know what's going to happen on any given Sunday whatsoever. We know how good this Pittsburgh defense is. Now, Pittsburgh is also scoring. They're averaging scoring 30 points per game. Their defense is allowing 19 points per game, which both of those are top 5 on the offensive side and defensive side. When you look at the Jacksonville side, Jacksonville is only scoring 22 points per game, but they're allowing an atrocious 30 points per game. And then you have to look at who's starting the game, and Luton is starting again. So with Luton starting again, I think that's kind of where it comes into play, to where Pittsburgh has the big advantage. I'm not saying that Luton last week played well enough, but not great. So with that being said, I have to go with Pittsburgh in this game.
And I just want to give a shout out real quick to James Robinson, because the guy's been unreal this year as a draft pick there for Jacksonville. He actually is 5th in the NFL in rushing yards this year. So very underappreciated, very underrated, very good running back down there in Jacksonville. Next game up is the Falcons and the Saints. Now, the Saints are starting Taysom Hill. A lot of people thought that they should have started Jameis Winston. I thought it could have gone either way, but I think that if you're going to keep Taysom Hill around, you have to see what you have. And they've been saying that for a couple of years now. Like, you have to see what he's going to give you and what he's not. So for me, this isn't really a bad pickup or a bad decision by Sean Payton to start Taysom Hill. What are your thoughts on that, and who's your pick?
So now, if you remember, it was when Drew Brees first got hurt, and people were talking about how Jameis Winston was going to start. And I came out and I told everybody, no. I'm like, the Saints are considering starting Taysom Hill. Everybody said I was wrong. And I'm like, no, watch. They're going to start Taysom Hill. Because when you look at their depth chart, he was actually ahead of Winston. So I kind of saw this happening. And this is going to be his first career start. His numbers passing-wise for New Orleans has not been spectacular. He hasn't thrown a touchdown for him. He has thrown a pick, though. But they call him the Swiss Army knife because, as we know, he can do everything. He can run. He can catch. He can throw. So, I don't know. I'm going to be anxious to see if this is the right call or not. However, when you look at Atlanta's side of the ball, we know that Calvin Ridley – Taysom Hill at tight end will get a lot of people some good fantasy points. Absolutely, they really, really would. So when you look at the Falcons side of the ball, Calvin Ridley is healthy. Calvin Ridley will play. So now every single one of the weapons for Atlanta is now healthy, and we've seen since Dan Quinn is no longer the coach of the Atlanta Falcons and Raheem Morris has taken over, they're now 3-1 with Raheem Morris. And then now look at the Saints' defensive side of the ball. LaShawn Lattimore is actually questionable in this game. Marcus Lattimore is questionable. That is their big-time corner. If Lattimore doesn't play, I don't see them being able to beat Atlanta. I don't think they're going to be able to slow down the Atlanta Falcons passing attack. The defense for the Saints is going to have to show up. They're going to have to put pressure on Matt Ryan. Taysom Hill's going to have to feed the ball to Alvin Kamara and use his legs and scramble a lot in this game in order to beat the Falcons. If it gets into a shootout, Falcons are going to win this game because I don't think Taysom Hill can win a shootout. So with that being said, I hate to say it, but I got to go with the Falcons.
Okay. Well, that certainly all those points make sense. The last morning game, early game, if you will, is the Bengals and the Washington football team. I've kind of had a thing this year where I'm like, do I really want to pick a team that can't pick a name, whether it's, Washington, other than Washington, the football team? But I think in this game I'm going to pick them. I think the Washington football team is going to – I think they're going to get themselves back into the NFC East race with a win. And I think that will be good for them. So, Ace, give us your analysis and your pick.
It's funny because every time I pick the Washington football team, I want to give them a chance. I want to say that they can get back in the NFC race, in the NFC East race. So I'm like, oh, I got to pick Washington. But then every time I do, they just disappoint me and lose. So tomorrow, I don't know, because Joe Burrow right now, as rookie's playing really, really well. Joe Mixon's out, and as you said last week, you believe that the Bengals are actually a better team when Joe Mixon does not play. So that means Giovanni Bernard is going to get the start. Cincinnati's defense is actually allowing 27 points per game. They're scoring 22 points a game. On the Washington side, they're actually 14th on the defensive side in points per game, but they're only scoring 20 points per game. So I think this is going to be a really, really good game. It's going to come down to whether Washington can stop the run, and I don't know if they can. So I am actually going to take Cincinnati in this game.
All right. To start off the afternoon games is the Dolphins and the Broncos. The Dolphins. What else to say? But they're 6-3, and they're right there. They're a half a game out of first place in the AFC East. Did you think we'd be saying that this year? I can't believe that. That's crazy. If they win, they'll actually tie Buffalo for first place in the AFC East. And that's crazy to think about, but I think they can do it. And I think I'm going to take them in this game because I think Tua every time over Drew Lock. That's just how I feel.
Right.
But give me your pick. What do you think?
So when I'm looking at this game, when it's Miami versus Denver, I want to say that it's not even close because when you look at Miami's defense, Miami has the number one scoring defense in all of football. That defense is playing really, really good. And then when you look at Drew Lock, now look at the difference in Drew Lock's numbers. Through the first quarter through the third quarter, Drew Lock has not been that good. He generally does not start playing good until the fourth quarter. That's kind of when he locks in and starts playing better. But you can't do that against a good defense because by that point you're already too far behind in the game. Yes, Tua is 3-0 at this point. I think he's going to go to 4-0. So with that one being said, I don't think it's relatively close. I have to go with Miami. Am I shocked that they're this good? Yes. At the beginning of the season, I did say that Miami was going to be a sleeper team. I did not think that they were going to be battling for first place in the AFC East. That is the most shocking to me, knowing that, man, if they win this game, wow. Just think how they would be right there with Buffalo. That's crazy.
Yep, that's crazy. You're right. So our second afternoon game that's on the slate is the Jets and the Chargers. Now I'll tell you that the Jets, we say every week they're going to get their first win. If the Chargers defense plays the way that they have been and not giving any help to Justin Herbert, the Jets might actually get their first win this week. I don't think I can pick against the Chargers, though. I don't think I can pick against Herbert, not against the Jets. So I'm going Chargers, but you tell me what you think.
That to me is going to be really, really hard. The only reason that I'm saying it's hard for me to I don't know. It's so hard because the Chargers is one of those teams that even they are like the Atlanta Falcons. The Chargers get a lead and they blow it. But in my mind, I'm like, well, this week they're playing the Jets. The Jets are only scoring like 17 points per game is their average. So I still don't see how the Chargers could blow a lead against the Jets. And you're right. Chargers could be a pretty good team. They actually couldn't be a pretty good team. They could be a really good team. If you look at all the leads they have blown, they could legitimately be sitting about 6-2 or 7-2 at this point. That's how good of a team they actually are. But their defense can't hold leads. But this one, they're not going to blow a lead against the Jets. They can't do it. My call was that the Jets were going to go 1-15 or 0-16, but I'm sticking to 1-15. But I don't think that this is going to be their win. So the Chargers are going to win this game.
All right. And then we have the game of the week, which actually got moved to an afternoon game. It was originally a 12 o'clock game, Central, and it got moved. And it's Green Bay and Indianapolis. So the Packers and the Colts square off. Both these teams are in first place in their divisions. This is going to be a good game. I'm obviously going – I have to go with Green Bay. I can't root against Green Bay. I can't. I think that the Colts can give them problems for sure because if they run the ball very well, Green Bay is susceptible to the run. We all know that. You have to make Phillip Rivers beat you tomorrow. That would be my biggest thing for the defense. I'm going to go Green Bay, but I definitely have my apprehensions, that's for sure. So what do you think?
I agree with you. Even though being a diehard Packers fan, I will say that I do have my apprehensions only based upon all teams have to do is look at the film and be like, Green Bay can't stop the run. And they can't. They cannot stop the run. That's one thing that they can't do. But looking on the offensive side of the ball now for Green Bay is what's a big factor for tomorrow. Okay, number one, Davante Adams is playing. Number two, Allen Lazard has now been brought off of IR and is now active and back. So now we have our top two receivers are now healthy and playing. Davante Adams did play last week, but he actually injured his ankle. And on Thursday night, Green Bay didn't know if Davante Adams would be playing or not. But he's going to be playing. Allen Lazard is going to be playing. And then Valdez-Scantling, I'm still up and down about whether he's going to be really, really good or not. And yes, Chase Anderson, I do agree it's going to be a really, really good game. Don't forget the Colts defense is really good. They're like lights out on defense. So I think if Green Bay wants to win this game, they're going to have to control the clock and they're going to have to try and get a big lead so they can get away from that running game, because they don't want to have to try and stop the running game because they can't do it. So if you're asking me who I'm taking, it's a no-brainer. And that is only because I'm a huge fan of it, and I'm going with that bad man right there in Aaron Rodgers. How can you not? So I'm going with the Green Bay Packers.
All right. Next game we have is the Cowboys and the Vikings.
Whew.
I don't really know what else to say. Two teams I'm not really fond of. I'll pick the Cowboys just because I don't want the Vikings to get back into the race. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. Cowboy season is over, so they're not really a threat to us. But I don't want the Vikings to win. So,
but see, now going back to that too, that's when teams become dangerous, is when they have nothing left to play for. And Dallas right now, Dallas still technically, now keep in mind though, Dallas does have a chance to win the NFC East. They're that close in the NFC East. Are they going to? No, I don't think they are.
I just can't pick a team in my own division though. So, you have to look at that. Well, Ace having some technical difficulties there. First here on the Sports Minute, going solo for just a minute until Ace comes back.
All right, I'm back. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Like I was telling everyone, I just can't see myself going for a divisional opponent. I can't do that. So I have to go Cowboys.
At times I don't want to, but when I'm going for picks, I got to be a realist, and I don't see Dallas being able to win this game. Their defense is horrible. So how are they going to be able to stop Cook? I just don't see it. So with that being said, I have to go with Minnesota.
All right, and then we got the Sunday night game, which is the Chiefs and the Raiders. Now, the Raiders are 6-3. The Chiefs are 8-1. To me, this game really comes down to the division. I think that if the Raiders lose that game tomorrow night, they are 3 games down, and then they'll be head-to-head, have a loss against the Chiefs. But I don't think they can come back after that game. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs, but it's definitely a do-or-die game for the Raiders, in my opinion.
Well, now keep in mind the Raiders did beat them in the first game, but even though they beat them in the first game, this one they had, which they thought like 7 guys on the defensive side of the ball were going to be out because of COVID, but they actually were able to. They just got 7 guys off of the COVID list, so they just got 7 guys back. Do I think the Raiders can beat them twice? I don't think they can beat them twice. So with this one, I have to go with KC. Is it going to be a close game? Honestly, I don't think it's going to be close. I think this time the Chiefs want revenge. The Chiefs are going to come out and dominate the Raiders.
Okay. The Monday night game, maybe the second game of the week, I think, is the Rams and the Bucks. Tough game. I think I got the Rams though. I think the Rams pulled this one out. You put pressure on Tom Brady and he doesn't play well. This is not the first year we've seen that. This has been a staple for the last 3 or 4 years now. And I think the Rams are that team that can put pressure on him. So I think the Rams take it. I think it's close, but I think the Rams take it in the end. That's what I got.
I'll say one thing about this Rams team. The Rams defense is vicious. That defense is really, really good. They don't really have that potent offense that's going to put up 40 points every game or 35 points. They're not going to do that. What's going to win these Rams games is their defense. Their defense is that good. And like you said, when you can put pressure on Tom Brady, you can beat them. And they have Aaron Donald. That's a bad dude. And they have to be able to slow him down. And I don't know if they will be able to. So with that fact, I'm going to take Rams in a very, very close game. It's going to be a close game.
All right. That gets us through all of the NFL games this week. On a bye week is Buffalo, Chicago, the Giants and the 49ers are all on a bye week this week, so we won't see any of them playing. Something interesting that we haven't done yet on the show. So one thing real quick, because we're right about at that time. But if the playoffs were to end today, I just kind of like to go through this once in a while and see everyone where they are. And actually, if it ended today in the AFC, you would have the Pittsburgh Steelers as the number 1 seed. Obviously, they're undefeated, no question there. Kansas City would be number 2, and they would play the 7 seed, which is different for this year. And actually, the 7 seed is the Baltimore Ravens. They're 7th this year versus what they did last year. The Buffalo Bills would be 3. They would play the Miami Dolphins, who are 6. And that'll be decided. I think those 2 teams will flip-flop the rest of the season as far as where they're at. And then you have the Colts would be the 4 seed, and the Raiders would be the 5 seed. So think about those playoff matchups if those stood up. That'd be some great football to be watching on Wild Card Weekend. Flipping over to the NFC side, you have Green Bay in first place in the NFC. You'd have the Saints playing at the 2 seed. They'd play the 7 seed, which is the Cardinals. Then you'd have the 3 seed Seahawks playing the 6 seed Rams. And then you have the 4 seed Eagles playing the 5 seed Buccaneers. Now, I think we're far away from getting the 4 seed in the NFC East. I don't think that's been decided yet. But that means that 3 teams would get in from the NFC West. Now, do you think that's going to hold up for the whole season?
Yeah, I do, because I don't know. When you look at the NFC East side, we know only 1 team's going to make it there. 2 teams are not going to make it. You only have 1. The NFC South side, you're going to probably have the Saints and the Bucks who are going to make it. Carolina, no. Atlanta, Atlanta would almost have to win out in order to have a chance at making it. And then you look at the NFC North, and Chicago's kind of been on a downhill slide. Minnesota has gotten better. Minnesota's that one team that I could see potentially sneaking in, but I don't know, because with the way that the Seahawks and the Cardinals and the Rams are playing, I don't know. I don't think I could see anybody leapfrogging them.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, on the AFC side, do you feel a little bad for the Browns? They're 6-3 right now. I see them in the season somewhere around 9-7, 10-6 possibly, and that's playing basically 500 ball the rest of the season. The last time this happened to them was 2007. They finished 10-6 with Derek Anderson at quarterback and didn't make the playoffs. Could that happen to them again this year?
When I go through the divisions in my head, I got Buffalo and Miami. They're gonna probably come out from the East. So those two are gonna probably make it. And then you have Pittsburgh and Baltimore. So that's 4 teams right there. Then you have Kansas City. That's 5. Tennessee and not Jacksonville, but you have Tennessee and Indianapolis. That's 6 and 7. Now Cleveland could potentially be able to leapfrog maybe Tennessee, maybe.
Actually, it's the Raiders at 5 right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the Raiders, I forgot about the Raiders. So yeah, so you would actually have the Raiders, which they could potentially, maybe I don't know. It could happen to them again, because I don't know who they would leave out.
Yeah, agreed on that. Kind of crazy. So I don't think there's a whole lot else to talk about tonight, but we don't want to end without telling you about our other sponsor, a newer sponsor for us. And they are actually an Oregon-made store that is here in Bandon, Oregon, and it's Misty Meadows, and they're actually located at 48053 Highway 101 South in Bandon. Their phone number is 541-347-2575. They do online ordering. They do phone-in orders. Everything's made right here in Oregon. So Misty Meadows there. And let's just recap. So all three we have Misty Meadows as our sponsor. We have Black Market Toffee, and that stuff is amazing. And Jamie does some great work, and all the people that are on that. And again, find them on Facebook under Black Market Toffee. And I'm telling you, I've had some amazing stuff. And their prices are decent. And I was going to get a little more on that real quick. Like I said, they have the 4 colors. You got classic, you got pink, you got what they consider lucky, but that's basically roasted pistachios, dark chocolate, and sea salt. And then you have a midnight. And again, it's around $15 for a half pound. You can get a 2-pound box. 2 pounds. Could you imagine 2 pounds of toffee, by the way?
Right.
2 pounds of toffee for right around $52. Right around $52. That's a steal at that price, by the way. So, and let's remind everyone again, how do you get one of those great ASAP shirts? How do you do that?
So if you want one of those free, did I say free? Yes, I said free. Free ASAP t-shirt. If you want one of those free ASAP t-shirts, all you have to do is be on our show just like this, comment whatever you want, and we will answer the question. And every time you leave a comment, guess what? It enters you in a chance to win a free t-shirt. Now, the more comments, the better chance you have at winning. And wouldn't you want one of those awesome t-shirts? These t-shirts are cool. A lot of our analysts have them, and even people are buying them. So yes, even if you can't come on and comment and you still want a shirt, guess what? You still have a chance of getting a shirt. All you have to do to get a shirt, besides commenting and liking, you can actually purchase one. Just hit up anybody on the ASAP Network team, let us know, and you can get a shirt for $25 plus shipping and handling. Christmas is coming up. It might be a great Christmas gift for somebody that loves to watch ASAP Sports. Now, besides that, think about Black Friday. I heard little whispers that there could be a Black Friday sale.
I'm telling you, Black Friday sale. And I know that a lot of times there's things that are hyped up that don't live up to it. I am here to tell all you viewers out there, this Black Friday sale for ASAP Network is going to blow your mind.
So Chase, to answer your question, yes, just hit us up on here, and you can get a shirt. Let us know where you want it sent to, and we will get it to you ASAP. And then if you want to donate, absolutely, you can donate any time you want. So just hit us up on the network and just let us know.
All right. Well, that's all we forgot for tonight, but I want to thank Ace for accompanying me tonight. And Vic, again, we need you back. We miss you here. The show definitely was not the same without you. Getting a little bit of banter that we can get into. Kind of missed that tonight. Ace and I can only do so much without you. But I just have to say, enjoy some great football tomorrow. And we thank you for watching the ASAP Network. We could not do this without you viewers. We could not. And we appreciate every single one of you. Ace, you got 30 seconds. Take us out of here.
All right. So my last thing of the night, I will say, keep in mind tomorrow, if you are a WWE fan, you can actually catch our new WWE show tomorrow night called Between the Ropes. And it will be with me, Mess Around Dave, and the Dragon Viper himself. So it's an excellent show. Come and watch it. And we even have our special guest, Brandon Herrera, that's going to be on that show tomorrow. And with football, watch football tomorrow. There's going to be some great games. I'm looking forward to my Green Bay Packers taking on the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm hoping that bad man can have a really good game tomorrow, along with Devontae and Alan Lazard. But anyway, enjoy a great day of football.
All right. And real quick, we thank our fill-in producer tonight. She did a great job. We'll bring her on here for a second. Bring yourself into the stream. We can give her a round of applause, everyone out there. Thanks for filling in tonight. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right.
You're welcome.
All right. Miss Producer Lady, get us on out of here. Have a good night.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports,